I was wondering, would you rather be the country mouse or the city mouse?
But what if there's another option? What if the real freedom was never in choosing between cages, but instead in deciding not to be a mouse at all? Or what if you left the maze entirely? Like Reze, many of us are raised inside lives other people decided were right for us, but we fail to realize their beliefs may actually be our cages. Which is why sometimes people struggle to change, not simply because they're weak, but because their old life had trained them to fear the new one. And by the time they finally see what is possible, their window for change is already closing. And that's what makes Reze's story so tragic, because beneath all of it, she reveals something deeper, which is how to break free and what happens when we wait until it's too late.
Yay! I'm excited! You agreed. It's a date.
I'm Justin Trinity, and welcome to Midnight Sanctuary, a home created for who we are and who we're becoming. Now let's continue. For better or for worse, the world around us is always shaping us. Our families, our friends, our experiences, the things we're taught to fear, accept, or even believe about ourselves. Over time, those influences don't just affect our choices. They can start to define the limits of who we think we're allowed to become. And Reze was shaped the same way, only far more brutally.
There's a story mothers in the Soviet Union tell their children when they want to scare them. It's about a secret room found in an old munitions storehouse, one that's full of orphaned children. The wretches living there are locked away, never seeing a sliver of sunlight. Their bodies used for military experiments, the life tortured out of them. Everyone thought it was a fairy tale, but the story faded eventually. The girl who lured Denji in was one of the kids from that room.
She was broken down and rebuilt as a weapon for the state by people who didn't have her best interests at heart. And their gain came at the cost of a little girl who could have had the most beautiful life ahead of her. At the cost of someone who wanted to know peace instead of chaos. Which reminds me of a quote from Carl Jung. The world will ask you who you are, and if you don't know, the world will tell you. And through my personal experience, that's something I can confirm as true. As a child, I was taught that speaking up for myself would lead to punishment. I was conditioned to believe that my voice had no say, and that shutting up was my most viable chance at avoiding confrontation. So for years after those experiences, I confused my silence with safety, when in reality, I was sacrificing the version of myself I'd be proud of for people who didn't care I was in pain. I didn't know any better, and neither did Reze. But it wasn't until her experiences with Denji that she began to see how truly distorted her life actually was. For the first time, Reze was able to imagine a life outside the one she'd been trapped within.
I've been thinking about you a lot. Like I said before, your situation's pretty strange. If you quit your job, we can run away together. I'll be able to give you a happier life, I promise. And I'll protect you. Please.
This was the first time she saw an opportunity to escape the only life she knew. But unfortunately, Denji was also trapped within a web of manipulation. A web that taught him to fear change and to mistake survival with safety. And just like Reze and Denji, a lot of us do the same. We trade guaranteed pain for uncertain happiness. We run away from the fear of change, not knowing that change is required for freedom. And we avoid the questions that might force us to confront what we already know.
Say, Denji, would you rather be the country mouse or the city mouse?
I want to be the city mouse, definitely.
You're joking. Being the country mouse is so much better. A peaceful life is where it's at.
Denji chooses the city mouse, a life with more pleasure, even if it comes with danger. Reze leans toward the country mouse, a quieter life, a peaceful one. And on the surface, those seem like the only two choices. But what if life was never as black and white as we were taught to believe? What if the real freedom was realizing that we never had to stay inside the maze at all? What if the life we were meant for was waiting on the other side of the fear we called safety?
Okay, class, who thinks they know the answer?
The truth is, those answers are something we have to discover ourselves. And if you're watching this, then there's a good chance that your life was also not meant to fit neatly inside the options that were handed to you. Which also means the people around you may not understand the life you're trying to create. But the life you wish for and imagine won't reveal itself by accident. It appears when you are willing to question what you were taught and go searching for something more.
We've got a genius!
They say you only live once. Nearly every single one of us has heard that. But why do so many people wait so long to actually live? Is it because they fear being judged for wanting something more? Is it because they're loyal to the illusion of certainty? Or is it because they keep telling themselves that they have time? What have you been telling yourself? Because
Trust me, you have a lot to learn. Stuff you don't know you don't know. I'll teach you everything. You should let me show you.
And sometimes the one who has to show you more is you. And that begins the moment your curiosity becomes stronger than comfort. The moment you start going out of your way to do what you normally wouldn't do. Which is why sometimes I literally ask myself, what wouldn't I do? So I can challenge myself to move beyond the limits I've mistaken for reality. Because we don't know what we don't know until we go searching for more. And the longer we wait, the more normalized the cage becomes. The more we postpone, the easier it becomes to confuse survival with living. And by the time many people finally admit that they were unhappy, they've already spent years being loyal to a life that was never really theirs. Leaving the maze doesn't begin with having every answer. It begins with questioning the walls you've normalized. It looks like committing yourself to things your fear told you not to try. With taking one step toward the life you truly want before certainty ever arrives. People don't need more time. They need to stop calling their cage a home. And once you finally break free, your life also stops being limited by the walls you used to mistake for reality. So don't wait until it's too late. Don't keep telling yourself that you have more time. Become someone who is willing to act before certainty ever arrives. Become someone you can respect. Become the person your fear tried to convince you was impossible. Because just like Reze, most people don't realize the value of time until after they've already spent it. Not until after they realize that they didn't just lose time, but also the life they never gave themselves permission to live.
Denji, I wonder why I didn't kill you the first time we met. You know, to be honest, I never had the chance to go to school either.